Hello and welcome to a new vlog and trip report. Today we're traveling on the Nagold Valley Railway. We are going from Calw, where we arrived on the last video, to Horb and then back all the way to Pforzheim. Here on the map you can see our route today, and we're starting in Calw, where I arrived in the last video with the Hermann Hesse Railway. Then I took a look at the city of Calw, and now we're at a bus station, and in the bus station there's also the railway station. But the railway station is a bit higher than the bus station, so we have to take the elevators to get up to the platform. And here at the platform we can see the Hermann Hesse Railway above us, and of course we can also take a look at the arrival of my train, which is a RegioShuttle of Deutsche Bahn. This one is in the colors of bwegt, and also the interior has the bwegt design. It comes with comfortable seats, and here we are already leaving. We will take a look at the interior later on, as my train was quite busy today. Here we are leaving Calw, and we are driving past the former station of Calw that has been closed in 1989. When the railway line to Stuttgart was closed, there was no need to have this big station quite far away from the city center, and they opened the new station directly at the city center. Here we are crossing the river Nagold for the first time, which is the river that is giving the name to the railway line, and we're also following that river for most of the time. We're then going through the Rudersberg tunnel, and then we are reaching Bad Teinach. After Bad Teinach we have another tunnel, the Schlossberg tunnel. Then we are going past the former station of Thalmühle, which is not existing anymore, but we can still see it. As you can see here, there are quite a few remains of the station. After that there's another tunnel, the Calw tunnel, and then we are reaching Wildberg as the next important stop. After Wildberg there are two tunnels, the Wildberger tunnel and the Bettenberg tunnel, and then we are reaching Nagold, which is the most important stop on our way, the biggest city on the railway line. Here in Nagold we are meeting an oncoming train, and we can listen to the sound of our RegioShuttle when we are leaving the station of Nagold. As I said, Nagold is the most important station, therefore the train was now pretty empty. We can take a better look at the interior, which is quite nice, but doesn't have a very high capacity. Here we can see the Nagolder Viaduct, which is one of the main sites of Nagold. We can take another look into the train, which has quite big multi-purpose areas for bicycles, for example, and therefore not too many seats, and most of them are in base of 4. As you have seen, we've gained a lot of altitude, and now we've reached the Hochdorfer tunnel, which is around 1.5 kilometers long. Behind the tunnel we are reaching a railway line called Railway Line Eutingen im Gäu-Schiltach, or Gäubahn, or also called Kinzig Valley Railway. And here at the station of Hochdorf by Horb you have a connection on to Freudenstadt and to Stuttgart. Here you can see the train to Stuttgart, which leaves just a few minutes after we arrived, and then a couple of minutes later we're also leaving. On this railway line now we have one stop at Eutingen im Gäu Nord, which is a rather new station, and then we are going all the way around Eutingen. Here we can see the former station, which has been replaced with a station a bit further away from the city center but with better connections. Our next stop is Horb, which is also the end of the line. Here we are crossing the river Neckar and we can see Horb in the background. Here I'm leaving the train and I'm now taking the next train back in the other direction. My train is ending here. Some of the trains are continuing on to Tübingen. Sometimes you can find this in the schedule, sometimes you won't find it in the schedule, but anyway the train is going on to Tübingen on its next trip. Here we can see the interior once again, and here I'm leaving the train waiting for my next train, which is now coming from Tübingen and will be a different train. So as you can see, this is now the red version of the RegioShuttle. I like that color better, but here we have a less comfortable interior. We do have a higher capacity, we have more seats, but the seats are not very comfortable. So as I've mentioned, seats are not that comfortable on this train. These are the same seats like in the class 425. In my opinion, those seats are good for a tram or for a S-Bahn, but not for a regional train, especially not for a regional train like this one that is going on a touristy railway line. But on the other hand, it has much more seats, so that's also quite good. And it also comes with more airline style seats, which I personally also prefer. In a later video, we will see a third version of this train of Deutsche Bahn, which is not in the bwegt design, but still has the nice seats of the bwegt design, which is my favorite then of course, but that will be a later video. Here we are leaving the railway line to Stuttgart again. And of course we're now using the same railway line that we've seen on the way to Horb. I chose a seat on the other side so we can see all parts of the railway line. Here we can see another train to Stuttgart. And here we are back at Hochdorf by Horb with another train of the so-called Kulturbahn on the other platform, which is now going to Horb. Kulturbahn means cultural railway. This also shows that this is a quite touristic railway line. There are a lot of touristically interesting cities that we are stopping at. For example, Nagold or Calw, and later on also Bad Liebenzell. Here we are reaching Nagold again. There are 4 stops in Nagold. We are now at the last one, which is the main station of Nagold. Here we can see another RegioShuttle in the bwegt design. This one was coming from Pforzheim and is ending here because between Pforzheim and Nagold there's a train every 30 minutes and onto Horb every 60 minutes, at least during weekdays. Here we are at the Wildberg again. See the city on the mountain a bit better. We're going through the Wildberg tunnel and then we are reaching the station of Wildberg. The railway line is a single track railway line, but at most stations there is a second track so trains can pass each other, and that's also used quite frequently because there are trains every 30 minutes, so at almost all stations you're gonna see an oncoming train. We're still following the river Nagold. We're following this river almost all the way to the end of the line in Pforzheim. Here we are at Bad Teinach with yet another oncoming train, and then we are reaching Calw again. Here we have the tunnel, and behind the tunnel there is a section where there was a rockfall in the beginning of the year 2026. The railway line was closed for a few weeks. Now it's reopened, but as you can see there's still some constructions at the side of the rockfall to prevent this from happening again, but it's possible for us to go past it, at least quite slowly. Here we can see the former platform of the former station of Calw, which is not in use anymore and has been replaced with a smaller station which is more centrally located, as this station lost its meaning when the railway line to Stuttgart was closed. Here we can also see the railway line to Stuttgart branching off, at least what's left of it. This railway line has been reactivated, you have seen it in my last video, but the part from this station to the new station has not been reactivated, so there's no track connection between the Nagold Valley Railway line and the Hermann Hesse Railway. And now we are at the new station, where you then have a connection to the Hermann Hesse Railway. The next important stop that we are reaching is Bad Liebenzell, also a quite touristic city. It's a spa town, therefore quite important. Here we are reaching Bad Liebenzell. Also here, of course, we're gonna see an oncoming train, and then we are continuing on in the direction of Pforzheim. Our next station is Monbach-Neuhausen. That's a quite interesting stop. As you can see, there are just a handful of buildings. The station was also closed but has been reactivated because it's quite important for tourists that are going on a hike. It's a quite popular hiking destination here, therefore this station still exists or has even been reactivated. Here we are crossing the Nagold once again, and then we are reaching Unterreichenbach, and after Unterreichenbach we are already getting close to Pforzheim. The next stop is Pforzheim-Weißenstein, and after Pforzheim-Weißenstein we are reaching Brötzingen Mitte. I'm leaving the train there, even though the train is still continuing on to Pforzheim main station, but I'm changing here at Brötzingen Mitte, and we will see the rest of the line in the next video. Here, shortly before Brötzingen, we are leaving the river Nagold, and here we are crossing the river Enz, and in the next video we will take a look at the Enz Valley Railway. The connecting time is pretty short, so I was lucky to make my connection as my train was delayed for a few minutes and there's only a few minutes of changing time, but I made it, so we can take a look at the Enz Valley Railway line in the next video. Here you can see when it will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.